So my name is Tyler, Tyler. I'm one of the tour guides here at the mine. I've been here for about 7-8 years now. The mine itself started around the 1600s. It was originally, this whole area would have been owned by the Dutch. They were actually looking through for copper deposits. So if you look on the mine, you'll actually see some brownish blotches. I thought that might have been some raw copper. Turns out it wasn't. They were also doing some iron mining around this area. And then over the centuries, it changed hands over to the British and then eventually to the colonies, changed hands, different ownerships. Eventually in the late 1800s, early 1900s, it went to the New Jersey Zinc Company. So those brownish blotches they were actually seeing wasn't actually copper, it was zinc. So the zinc that they had here was actually a 25% yield of zinc, which is one of the highest yields anywhere. Mostly you get 5 or 6% yield of zinc other places. So they did that for about 100 years, from the late 1800s over till 1986. They actually shut down on Good Friday. They actually have about 10 years worth of zinc still in this mine that we're probably never going to get to. One of the reasons why the mine shut down, or actually the 3 major reasons why, is because the mine had some tax disputes with the town of Ogdensburg, and the selling price of zinc started to go down, and high property taxes in general. So all of that kind of shut the mine down again, 1986 on Good Friday. They actually were expecting to go to a meeting that day. And as they were heading out of the doors, they were given their envelope saying, sorry, but the mine's shutting down. So that Friday they shut down. They were actually planning on going back to work on Monday, but they barred all the doors shut. So all their equipment that they left down there is still down there ready to go, like they're ready to go back to work. So the mine itself is 2,700 feet deep. So that's about 2 Empire State Buildings, or about a half a mile into the Earth's surface, if you want to think of it that way. 36 miles worth of tunnel. It's not straight down like an elevator. It's actually on a slope, gently going about a 56-degree angle down through the town of Ogdensburg, kind of like an ant colony. There's actually 2 shaft stations in the mine. So the one that you're going to see inside, that one goes from the adit, which is the top level, down to the 1850. At that area, the vein of zinc that they were looking for disappeared and shifted a 1/4 mile to the north. So they actually dug a whole separate tunnel a 1/4 mile north, put another shaft station, went from 1850 to 2700. So there's actually 2 of everything. I haven't been down there. Everything is underwater at this point. So when they shut down, they turned off the water pumps, and about a foot a day filled up over a 10-year period back to the natural water table. So it's about 40 feet below us. So anything over 40 feet below you is going to be completely underwater. It was typically a men's job, so women were not allowed in here. They actually thought women were bad luck. They would have chased the women out of here. They were also very superstitious. So if you're walking around and you see drops of water hit you, that was called a cave kiss. So it's kind of like a blessing from the mine. But they would come in, do their job. They did have fun. They like to joke around with each other. They gave each other different nicknames too. They didn't use their full names usually. One such name was a gentleman named Bicycle Pete. He was a gentleman who rode his bicycle from home and to work. Unfortunately, when he was leaving, he was walking over a plank. His buddy walked over the plank first. He turned around and Bicycle Pete actually fell off the plank and into a shaft and disappeared. So the urban legend is that they see Bicycle Pete's spirit walking around. If you call out his name, you'll see his light coming around the corner. Sometimes they say it's the light bouncing off of puddles, or it's your headlamp bouncing off the walls, but different people have different thoughts on that. But that's one of the urban legends that a lot of the miners used to use and talk about when they were working here. Whatever records that we have on paper were not kept 100% accurate. We actually estimate they were about 3 or 4 times higher than what they would have been on books or on the paper. Record keeping really wasn't the best back then. I do know of certain incidents or certain people who lost their life through various accidents, whether it was a complete accident or just a natural thing that happened while in the mine. I think there's a spot in the mine that is the earlier 1800s that they said that when people died, they got buried back there or collapsed back there. They just kind of left them because they couldn't do anything about it. At that time, they didn't have hand or drills like we would have had today. They would actually have hand drills or pickaxes, so they wouldn't be able to get them as easily or as quickly.
My name is John Ruggiero, Johnruggiero, and I run all of the paranormal events for the Sterling Hill Mine, and I'm the founder of New Jersey Paranormal.
My name is Chris Therian, C-H-R-I-S THERRIEN. I also run the paranormal events here, and I'm a co-founder of New Jersey Paranormal.
Probably about 7 years ago, I was researching locations in New Jersey that may have paranormal activity. I had come across an article that said that 79 people had died here over 99 years. So I contacted director Bill. I met with Bill and I said, Bill, is there any activity here? And are those numbers accurate? He said, John, those numbers are actually probably triple because they didn't start keeping records of accidents and fatalities until the early 1900s. He said lots of people have had paranormal experiences here, including shadow figures, voices, whistles, footsteps. A lot of things go on here at the mine.
The growls, please do not forget the growls. That's one thing that chased me out of here, and the residual booms that happen, and the men talking when there's nobody there.
I could hear in the background, you can't hear what they're saying, but you could hear whispers, you could hear distinct sounds that it's not just like one person talking, like a conversation going on in the background. That's usually inside the mine.
Unlike any other place we had ever been, we started hearing talking around us and we thought it was maybe something on us, our phone or something. And when we found that it wasn't, we just said, be quiet. Everybody just be quiet. And we heard them talking back and forth, unlike anything I'd ever experienced anywhere. And we all just looked at each other and stayed quiet and just, oh my God, are you hearing this? And then we started to hear whistles. And then from then on, during the course of that first night, EVPs in all different parts of the mines, voices, intelligent, answering questions, footsteps coming from nowhere. It was just probably one of the most active nights I've had anywhere.
One of the most terrifying nights for me. That was the first night that I actually stepped away with my daughter to set up an R light right over here, actually. This area makes me really uncomfortable. In the pitch dark, setting it up, my daughter goes, did you hear that? And I said, ignore it, ignore it. And then all of a sudden, a loud growl along with heat right behind it and wind came right up behind us and we both just went running right up.
And the video it does show them doing what they're doing and you hear, just a loud growl.
Out of the pitch dark where there's nothing.
Right. And that tends to happen here.
Yeah.
I've never come across anything that I would say is malicious. I think spirits are people. Some are friendly, some aren't. Some welcome interaction. Some are introverts. Some don't want to be bothered. I think we've come across several that just didn't want to be bothered and they made that known. Others are more welcoming and are willing to answer questions. I think a lot of people died beneath us in the lower chambers. And for whatever reason, I don't know how the afterlife works, but I think they are still here and they have the elements that everyone believes that they need, the minerals, the water, to just amplify their presence.
And they're miners. And again, especially women coming through here. Women didn't work in here. I call them salty. I mean, these are men's men who worked in the dark and really hard-working, chiseling out all day long. They're not your suit and tie guys. They're salty guys. They got sense of humors. They like to poke with you and mess with you, and they have a good time doing it.
When I first came through here, I lost my way a few times because there are alcoves, little corridors that you could go down. And in the dark, you can't see your hand in front of your face. There's a mist that you're going to see here at night as well, kind of a horror movie type of mist. Yeah, people definitely have taken a while finding their way out or tell us later that they didn't know how to get out and they were getting nervous.
Another one I've had inside the mine was with my best friend, my brother, and my cousin. And we were walking through a section. My friend and I were in front. My brother and my cousin were behind me. And they both said, stop, there's a guy in front of you. Who is that in front of you? Or who's in front? And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, there's a guy with a cap and a big mustache in front. Who is that? And I said, nobody. We don't see him there. Later on, we were using a infrared camera. And my cousin was walking with the infrared camera towards an intersection and saw a figure show up with the baseball cap and the mustache that he saw earlier on. So that kind of was interesting one.
The growl. Being here in the dark for the very first time, not knowing anything about the elements here, what was going to happen, and setting up an IR light in the dark with just a flashlight alone. We'd never gone down that way, had no idea what was down there. It was just pitch dark. And having something growl low at first, like warningly, and then continue what we're doing and ignoring it, and then having it come full blast at you with heat and just, you felt it. Your hair stood, and taking off running. That scared the bejeebies out of me.
In the mine down the other area, someone else was with us and they were getting a feeling of someone behind them in a specific area. And I told them, just, if you're uncomfortable, move out of that area. And I guided them with my flashlight to where, so they could see where they were going. And as I moved my flashlight around them this way, behind them was the silhouette of a man that was way bigger than me, heavier than me, taller than me. And I saw the helmet and everything. He was standing there.
There's something about this area. John and a team member were in there doing an EVP session, and I stayed out here out of the way because that's a little small area. I'm terrified of here, but I still stood out here in the pitch dark by myself with no flashlight. Boom! Came slamming down like heavy metal artillery was hitting the ground, and I went flying right underneath that chain. I didn't know I could move.
Someone dropped a metal tray just on the ground, and it was right here, out here.
When I was with John and a group that he had for one of his public ghost hunts in the office area, I heard someone walk over the catwalk, go up to the door, open the door. You could hear all that, the door shut behind him, and then you heard a woman's voice say something along the lines of, "Oh, you're still down here?" I kind of get my mouth shut, just not say anything. A couple of the people in the group said, "I heard a voice upstairs," and John said, "I didn't hear anything," and I said, "No, I heard it too." I went upstairs, didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. Came back down the stairs, and then John heard whistling and humming. So he went upstairs to go check. And then afterwards, I checked with all the women who were on the property, and none of them were at the top of the stairs. No one came to check up on us. So it was kind of interesting how that all kind of played out. That was the biggest one that I've had happen here.
In the office, in an area where they've seen shadow figures and heard loud bangs and people were scared to go downstairs, I'm finishing for the night, collecting my IR cameras, and I saw this person. I caught the corner of my eye. He ran right past me, down the stairs, into one of the bedrooms, right in front of me.
It's a pretty impressive place.
Never seen anything like that before either. I think any of the above could happen. The whistling, the residual booms, the EVPs, the footsteps. I think any and all of that is possible. And the potential for them we call it running up on you, which means all of a sudden you just feel a gush of wind and you hear the ha in your ear. All of that is possible.
You can check our website. We do public tours on weekends at 1 o'clock only. It's a 2-hour-long tour that goes through 2 museums and the mine itself, so you'll see everything. During the summer months, we will have tours daily at 1 o'clock as well. Again, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. But the area will be open from 10 to about 4 o'clock.
We are the only group. We run paranormal tours throughout the year. We have ghost hunting events here. They can sign up through NewJerseyParanormal.com or any of our socials to join us on a ghost hunt here.